This story happened a few years ago, but in a way it still hasn't ended. My name is Kenya. I'm 35 years old, and all this happened to me in high school here in the city. To be exact, it was in the third semester of high school. Already I had formed a group of friends. Even today, the school remains my most endearing group of friends. With them it was always fun afternoons that I will never forget. But in particular, I think that neither I nor anyone else will be able to forget details, strange, rare, or different. Our group of friends is made up of 3 girls. Lucia told me that 2 boys from high school were handsome, nice, and intelligent, and in sports they were good. All the students wanted to be her friends. However, they were in C's, friends since preschool. For some strange reason, it could be said that they had adopted us. Since the first semester we were really one of the most shy girls, but little by little we began to adapt to our new friends. Cesar had a big house in the neighborhood, even with a small pool. In addition, Caesar's father was a very busy man with a lot of work. They lived alone. We took advantage of every opportunity to go to his house to have fun. One day after finishing a final exam, he invited us all to relax. On that occasion, even 2 of his friends from another room were there. We all went into the pool, and after a while we decided to go in to rest and prepare something to eat. I don't know why I went to the room that overlooked the pool, and I saw a child standing against it. I couldn't make it out because the windows were closed, and they weren't totally clear, but I was sure it was a child. I yelled at Caesar, "There's someone in the pool." At that moment, without realizing that there was no way to enter the pool without going through where we were, and everyone came up and asked me, "What's going on?" While I saw how the boy ran towards some bushes and laughed, Noel came running and Caesar said almost calmly, No, I'm really sorry, he's going to go with you." I don't explain much more. We understood that they were referring to him as if he were a spirit, a ghost, and apparently it wasn't the first time something like this had happened. Really weird was that seriously everyone heard laughter. Later, in effect, the child began to appear in my house. He bothered, above all, he appeared more to Karina. My younger brother, who was 17 years old at the time, saw his small shadow pass through the corridor. When you went to the bathroom at dawn, you could see small wet footprints on the floor. Other things that happened. For example, he could definitely move things, and several times he tried to open the bathroom door or my bedroom door. Of course, he only saw how the handle moved, but we always left mine and my sister's locked. Once I heard how he opened the door of my parents' room. I didn't know at that time what happened, but as a result of that they finally believed my sister and me about what had arrived at my house. Just about 2 years ago, I found out what happened that night. My mother woke up with the sound of the door and heard some footsteps. My dad woke up quickly because she couldn't see anything without her glasses, and when my dad looked up, he saw a little boy smiling at him with a macabre mouth, standing right in the light of the moon that slipped through a crack in the window. My dad, sick since that day, will never accept it. But my mom and grandmother say that the diabetes he now has was the product of that night when he saw that ghost smiling at the foot of his bed. Things continued with the same fear. Until some time later we moved house. For some reason it seems that this child stayed in that place. He did not bother us again in the apartment where we later arrived. Sylvia, who later became Cesar's girlfriend, told Lucia and me that something had been achieved about the child's story, but could not confirm it. Apparently Caesar's best friend died in a baseball game. In the stands he fell, and a strong blow to the head caused his death instantly. He did not know if it was the fault of the sadness, but it is assumed that Cesar became very ill, and his father asked Noel's parents to let him sleep at home. At that time a boy began to appear at night at the bottom of the pool. They used to watch him from the window of his room until they decided to cover the pool every night. We don't know if this ghost child was actually that friend. If the story is true, I don't understand why when I saw him he left with me, and we will never know. In June, Noel and Cesar were killed in an accident on the highway. Shortly after, the boy appeared at my house again and now bothered my daughter. He also appears at my parents' house and in the apartment. Each person who visits my house causes us to stop seeing him. Perhaps the child leaves with the people who visited me, but later the child returns. And they are things that range from believing to see a child in the dark, literally seeing him in the hallways, and you get up at dawn. I don't know what kind of energy it could be. I'm sure you should know why. I don't know, maybe it's just a case of collective hysteria. I hope you believe me and that this doesn't sound like a joke, but I hope really, this ghost, this thing, is not going to go with any of you just by listening to this video. I remember that something else happened to me. It was also when I was young. It happened to a group of friends very close to me. Some cousins who had never traveled to my city came there some time ago. We decided to go out with my sister and two of her friends so that their parents would be calmer that we were not going out alone. After strolling through the historic center, we went for a coffee to the neighborhood, and then we walked to the roundabout. One of my sister's friends had lived a few steps from there in another neighborhood, and told us about a supposed girl who disappeared in the street. At a certain time in the morning, we listened to him, and we walked to a bar in the area. One of my cousins was thinking about the story and already in the bar. Some of us continued talking about ghost stories. We decided to go find the street he had mentioned. A friend, my other cousin, and my sister, they didn't want to go because they said it was silly. As most of us wanted to go, they had to walk with us to the first street. Although it looks more like an alley because I think it has no exit. As we get closer to our suddenly we stopped joking. My cousin stopped talking loudly. Without realizing it, we all whispered. The street is very quiet. Much more than normal. It seems that nobody even hears the cars. In the distance in the street we suddenly heard a woman crying. Or a girl, maybe we couldn't recognize it, but I located the sound as a woman, thinking it was one of my cousins, but it wasn't. My cousins ran scared. One of my sister's friends ran after her. The rest of us, we stood there like frozen. I thought I saw a silhouette between two cars parked in a very dark area of the street. I asked my sister's friend if what he said was true, or if he had just tried to scare us, but he swore it was real, that he never I had seen her, but her mother had, and her sister had also heard her. Once something louder was heard closer. All the street lights suddenly went off, and I knew it wasn't someone trying to scare us. I remember we suffered, but I don't remember how we got back to where my scared cousins were waiting for us. After talking with several people, they agreed to have seen something on that street, having heard crying, and that all the lights usually go out when this happens. In short, that is my story, and even though I know it is very simple, I hope it appears on the YouTube channel sometime.